Good evening, everybody. I'm Fictional Crystals, and let's analyze Keith. This is going to be a general analysis of Keith's character, his family, his relationships, and his arc. Keith is my personal favorite character on Voltron, and for a good reason. So that's what I'm here to talk about. The most popular theory back during the early days of Voltron Legendary Defender Season 1 was the Galra Keith theory. People believed that Thace was Keith's Galra dad for a while and that he had a human mother. Season 2 of the show confirmed part of this theory. Yes, Keith is part Galra, but his father isn't Thace. And his mother is the one who's Galra. How much of Keith's blood is Galra is unknown as of now. His appearance is entirely human-looking. Prince Lotor and his ex-generals are all part Galra. Lotor's other half is Altan, one of the last alive in the reality. The general's other species haven't been revealed, yet it's easy to tell that all 5, including Lotor, 4 take after their non-Galra halves in terms of looks more. Keith could easily be simply half Galra, since Galra genes don't appear to be dominant, but his mother being part human, part Galra too would make sense. Keith got his knife from his father who got it from his mother. Surprisingly, he talks about his mother leaving him.
I'm naturally untrusting because my mom left me.
Except not his father, although he is on his mind. Keith has abandonment issues. He was orphaned at a young age. First his mother left him, then his father. 2 of the supposedly most important people in his life gone, teaching him not to get attached to people, making him think that it is better to push people away before they do it to him first. Keith doesn't have strong connections with many people. He definitely cares about others. He's a defender of the universe. Naturally, he puts others' lives over his. It's just the only 2 people he's really opened up to are Shiro and Lance. It's hard to get as close to Keith as these 2 have. He has his walls up. Shiro was able to break through them to get to Keith, whereas in my opinion, Keith let those walls down and let Lance in himself. Shiro didn't give up on Keith, unlike others in his life who he thought did. He had to earn Keith's trust while Keith was at a low point in his life. Shiro ended up becoming more like family to Keith than his actual parents. It must have taken a lot to reach that point. Lance, on the other hand, called Keith his rival when they barely knew each other. He wasn't someone actively trying to get Keith to open up to him. He teased him, they argued, but it never got to the point of violence or discomfort. They both knew when to stop and didn't push it further than necessary. It was more like 2 teenage boys just having a friendly rivalry. That's exactly what it was. Keith has a temper cell, but in no way would he purposely be legitimately mean. Lance, for the most part, was the one insisting on the fights. Lance is a very friendly person. He can talk casually to people he just met, and flirts like there's no tomorrow. When he first met Pidge, she brushed him off, yet they still became friends. He didn't start a rivalry with her just because of that. Lance is insecure about what he can do. Keith always one-upped Lance at the garrison. Makes sense to have a little disdain to someone doing that. Yet Lance isn't a bad sport. He wants people to do their best. He hasn't initiated an actual rivalry with Matt yet over Allura. Just a little protective at the beginning. He wouldn't have created a full-out rivalry with someone he hardly talked to. No, before any of that piloting business, he would have tried to make friends with Keith right off the bat, like he's done with everyone who's not evil.
Hey, maybe we can knit him a little sweater.
For Lance to have disliked Keith like he did, Keith must have done something to Lance directly, not a mere one-time brush-off like Pidge did. For Keith, the thing he did to Lance was normal for him. He doesn't exactly open up to people just like that, so whatever it was wasn't memorable for him. But for Lance, it hurt. The problem with them is their amount of miscommunication. Everything changed for the 2 in episode 5 of season 1, the legendary bonding moment. Lance's words to Keith were the beginning of something. This was when their rivalry ended. Sure, they had a few disagreements after that, but things definitely weren't like they used to be. Keith felt he made a connection in that moment, a rare feat for him, and it was clearly meant to be taken as important since it was brought up twice in the next episode. It was also why he was so insistent on getting Lance out of the healing pod. Keith's demeanor when around Lance got softer after that. When Keith gains a bond, he won't let go of it. He'll take the person in question extremely seriously, and internalize what they say or do to him. Case and point.
No, you're thinking of yourself because you're too scared to do what's right. You're only thinking of yourself as usual.
It's good that he trusts deeply in those he gets close to. Don't get me wrong, but this can hurt him as well. If he loses them, he takes it much harder than most people. It's his greatest fear. there. Keith probably got booted from the garrison because of the way he reacted to Shiro going missing. Must have been like Pidge did. He tries so hard to do what Shiro wants of him. He disagrees with things Shiro says, but generally keeps his mouth shut in fear of him not liking him anymore. When Keith has attempted arguing Shiro, he gets shut down. Keith isn't to Shiro what Shiro is to Keith. There's a serious imbalance. Shiro pushing Keith to become a leader wasn't good. Shiro's known Keith since the garrison, and maybe even before that. He should know not to pressure Keith like he did. Keith wasn't at all comfortable with the role he was given. Shiro should have at least explained to Keith why he chose him. Something more than a simple "I know what you're capable of" would have been nice. Yeah, Keith could pilot the Black Line and Shiro knew this. But I think Shiro took to Keith, not just in terms of being the new leader, in terms of helping Keith out back at the garrison, was because Keith reminded Shiro of himself when he was younger. Big dreams, best in his class, little bit of a temper. Unfortunately, Shiro choosing Keith as leader eventually caused Keith to cut himself off from the rest of the team. I'll elaborate on this later. The Black Paladin is the set leader of Voltron. When Shiro leads, you know this. He hardly requires advice from the other Paladins, even from Voltron's Red Paladin, who is meant to be Black's second in command. See Shiro and Lance in Season 4's final.
Pidge, plot a course for our escape! Hold on.
Initially, Shiro was a good leader on the show. He treated his team respectfully and typically made good choices. The original Paladin lineup from Season 1 worked, but the show cannot go back to that. There is no way Allura's quitting being a Paladin. She bonded with her lion quicker than any other. Plus, Lance returning to Blue would be an absolute backstep for his character. This scene solidified his goodbye to Blue. It's been stated that the Blue Lion is the motherly lion. She takes in those who she feels need nurturing and validation. Definitely Allura after both Red and Black rejected her. Blue helps her Paladins unlock their potential. She knows when they're ready to move on. Lance was ready for a role of more leadership as the Red Paladin. He was also the best fit for Keith's second in command, since at the time he was the only one Keith would actually listen to. Although, I feel calling Lance Keith's second in command not very fitting. Black is the definitive first, Red is the definitive second. But when Lance and Keith were in Red and Black, they shared the leadership. Lance was able to argue Keith's choices, and they were both able to come to each other when necessary. Their dynamic was the closest to proper co-leadership that we've ever gotten out of the Red and Black Paladins. Lance's Shiro's Red doesn't work. Shiro doesn't take Lance's advice. The team is out of whack without Keith. I am dead set on the Shiro from Seasons 3 and 4 being a clone, for reasons that you can know if you watch my Clone Shiro video. Current Shiro isn't going to stay. He has more death and or dark turn flags than anyone else on the team. Again, refer to the Clone Shiro video or the Dark Shiro video. Keith will have to become a Paladin again after things happen with Mr. Crone over here, and it's going to affect him. The trust issues coming back, the leadership problems, the where is the real Shiro now problem. But Keith is better for the team, and the team is better for him. His relationship with Shiro, while very close, is wavering thanks to recent events. His relationship with Allura always seems to have a bad tinge to it. They don't have interactions just cause. When they do talk, it's normally lectures or disagreements, or simply because they have to. Keith hardly interacts with Pidge, so I don't have much to say about that. Another side comes out of Keith when he's with Hunk or Lance. He acts goofier. They're the only two on the team around his age and of the same gender. He has the potential to be great friends with both of them. Keith's still finding his way. He shouldn't be shoved where he needs to go as a leader like Shiro did, and Allura to some extent, though he should have helped be guided to where he needs to go. Keith's goal in the series is to find his family, much like Pidge's. Pidge finding her family is literal. Her blood-related brother and father went missing in space. She's found her brother at last. I cried. Her father is still out there though. Keith's blood-related family is out there too.
I can look for my family.
I guess I could look for mine.
Keith didn't mention his father leaving him, unlike his mother, despite him not having been around for Keith as well. I don't think Keith's dad left Keith willingly, which was why Keith didn't show anger to him. He took care of Keith long enough for him to remember, so it's not like he didn't care about his son at all. Something caused Keith's dad to go away. He's aware of aliens, the Galra, and probably the war for the universe. Like with Keith's mother, this knowledge of his might have something to do with what happened to him. Potentially, he could have died. But the way Keith spoke to him doesn't sound like something you would say to someone who you thought was dead. He wasn't surprised that his father was alive. He just wanted to catch up with him. Keith's dad was either forced to leave, or he left to protect him from the bad side of the Galra. This projection suggests that Keith's dad sheltered him, avoiding the topic of his mother and heritage being secretive. Keith's dad's body language is stiff. He's got a creepy smile and is trying to distract Keith from the true problem at hand. Keep in mind, this is all a projection from Keith's subconscious. This is what Keith remembers his dad to be. He figured out that his mother is the one who's Galra. It was logical to him. He's had a dream like this without the suit anyway. His mother disappeared mysteriously. She was a member of the Blade of Marmora and a part or full Galra. Keith's talk of her and his father saying that she would be there soon when the Earth was under attack in Keith's mindscape means that she didn't die, and chances are she still isn't dead. She left for a reason unknown to Keith. Keith does know that his mother left and is still out there. She's in space doing her duty against the Galra Empire, possibly outside of the Blade of Marmora's group. Despite putting the mission first, they are quite ineffective. Their group has existed for thousands of years, yet it's only recently that they started doing actual damage to the Galra Empire. And that's pretty much just because of Voltron's return. They're not a healthy group to be in. People say Keith is selfish. I disagree. He does what he thinks is objectively better. In a way, he does have the Blade of Marmora mindset. The mission over the individual. He wanted to stay on Arus to fight, not wanting to risk the Galra going after them if they left while still destroying the planet. Look at how pained he was to leave his dad, yet did anyway for the greater good. He didn't want to go after Allura since it would risk the lives of everyone else on the team and Voltron itself. He was prepared to give his life for the lives of everyone within 10 solar systems. Keith's other suicide mission. Keith was right. If Pidge left, nobody could pilot Green. There's more instances like this, but I'll carry on. The only way I can really see how people interpret Keith as selfish is how he told Pidge that she was putting the lives of 2 people over the lives of everyone else. Yet he kept searching for Shiro and refusing to pilot Black, even though they need Black to defend the universe. He can be a hypocrite. Keith's mother had a part human child. She spent time on Earth away from her main responsibilities. Certainly not something that the Blade of Marmora would approve of. His mother retired her blade by giving it to his father. How was she meant to know Keith would end up in space with it? Keith's vlog came out before season 4. It was a little after season 3. His mother and his knife got brought up in it. Season 4, he joined the Blades officially. It's no coincidence that the vlog came out when it did. It showed his inner turmoil and insecurities as the Black Paladin, both things that played into season 4, since his mother was mentioned in the vlog and he's currently with her old group. It's not long until they'll meet on the show itself. One of the show's executive producers, Joaquim dos Santos, said this: "The really cool and interesting thing with Keith's character right now is that he's sort of displaying sides of both those team dynamics. And how it shakes out is, I think, going to be the really interesting part of his character arc, where he eventually lands, what conclusions he comes to." But yeah, I think that single ramification of Keith's internal clash of cultures is going to be the interesting thing to let play out over the course of the next portion of the story. Keith's going to be figuring out where his loyalties lie, what connections he needs to break and what he needs to keep, along with some things about his heritage. The end of season 4 is set up for Lotor joining Team Voltron. He's not doing it because of a change of heart. With the entire Galra Empire out to kill him, if he wants to survive, he can really only go to the Coalition. It's been said that Lotor would be okay with Keith being part Galra too. He takes a liking to him, they have a lot in common. Lotor is going to be a trigger for Keith's discoveries and decisions. Lotor will help him learn more about himself. He is accepting of hybrids. The problem is he is also very manipulative, and could easily use the fact that Keith is Galra against him. Going back to the Marmora, Keith can't stay with them forever. He's disconnected with those he considered to be more than friends. Keith has a strong sense of family. When people consider Keith to be their family, he softens. Look at how happy he was when talking about how everyone's made of the same cosmic dust. Though not all connected by blood, Keith has found a family within Team Voltron. He needs to be sure of that. Since he pushed them away, he's in a bad place once again. Sure, he's the loner, but he does not want to be alone. So why did he choose the Blade of Marmora over the Paladins then? Simple. Keith wasn't comfortable with his role as the Black Paladin. More importantly, he knew not all of the others were either. They went with Shiro's choices over his. I would say Keith is confident in his abilities. He knows what he can and can't do.
I know who I am.
He was impulsive when it came to deciding what to do. He needed help and had trouble piloting Black too. The role as leader at that point wasn't right for him or the team. Lance bringing up the problem of too many Paladins, not enough Lions, made Keith realize that the weakest link needed to go in order for a stronger team. That wasn't Lance, that was him. These are 2 episodes apart. Originally, season 3 and 4 were meant to be the same season, until the season got split, making the 2 parts half as long. If we were watching seasons 3 and 4 as one season, plan, like intended, this scene would have been freshly in our minds while watching this. They're supposed to be similar. Both were during scenes about leaving the team. One ending well, the other not so much. Keith felt he could be more effective with the Blade of Marmora than he could with Voltron. He distanced himself from the others before they could reject his leadership in favor of Shiro's. Like Lance does, Keith puts up a front. He masks his vulnerability and insecurities with a cold exterior. He doesn't want to be like that. It's something he's actively trying to improve on. Keith seldom complains about his problems. He doesn't want people to be sorry for him. He doesn't want to be sorry for himself. Others have to force what's on his mind out of him. He tries not to let his past get to him. He'll only bring his personal issues up if he has an outlet. Then it all comes out at once. He is okay with opening up. He just doesn't know how around most people. You can see him trying to fit in with the others by things as simple as him mimicking their gestures. At the moment, he's got no lion, no paladins, no castle. Keith will return to Team Voltron as the Black Paladins sooner or later. There was a clip in one of the Season 4 trailers of him and the Black Lion using the Black Bayard, which didn't happen in either Season 3 or Season 4. While I do believe that Shiro being revealed to be a clone, and Lotor's upcoming discussion, are both going to push Keith in the direction of rejoining the team, Keith's arc is very much about family. Yes, his actual parents are going to show up, but eventually he'll realize that he's found his true family within Team Voltron. They are the support he needs, and he shouldn't isolate himself from them. When it comes down to it, Voltron the show itself is about teamwork, coming together as one. Each of its characters are strong and capable on their own. There's nothing wrong with doing things solo. Being too dependent on someone else isn't a wise thing, but Voltron is always stronger together. The characters' growth bounces off of each other, and the better one gets, so will the others. Keith surely has the potential to be a good leader, just as the others do. The Black Lion saw something in him. All that emphasis on Black Paladin Keith in seasons 2 and 3 isn't going to waste after just a few episodes. He simply needs a nudge to get there, not a shove. And he can't reach his goal alone. It's all very cheesy yet true. But anyway, thanks for watching and Rapid Saw.
Goodbye, Dad.